Yes. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed. Ji aya nu, goeiemorgen.
Pakhairagale, ni hao, chunishume, washmale, ohai, gozaimis, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifahal, haleshamachatore, ahlan wasalan, maraba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabi up, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the very ecstatic, the very fabulous, the very stunning Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am absolutely great, especially after the words you used for me. Thank you so much.
No
But
problem.
how are you?
Well, I feel great too as well, but a little scared. And
Oh.
there's a reason why I'm scared, ladies and gentlemen. So last night was not really a good night, and it's just because of the fact that from the last 10 or 15 days there have been armed robberies all around Islamabad, and yeah, so when you do not really feel safe, you really cannot sleep. So for all of those local authorities, police officers, I believe that this is a message which I wanted to give and reiterate upon, for everybody who's out there, that this is actually about time that we take action. And a lot of people have been robbed. A lot of people are actually in tension and stress too as well. And it's just because of the fact that those guys are still out on the loose as well. So please make sure that if there's anything within your capacity, well, in fact, I believe that the government has actually given you the responsibility, and I believe that one needs to fulfill it as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, these 4 and 5, it's a group of 4 and 5 people. They're armed. And what they do is that for all of those people who actually go back to home late at night, what they do is they follow them, and then they make sure that the guy or the girl is actually a soft bait. They put a gun onto their head and then enter the houses, and then they will actually kind of make you sit down and then rob the entire place. And please make sure to stay safe. Please make sure that you secure all the locks before sleeping, and please make sure that you're not coming back home late as well. And yeah, just keep an eye out that nobody's following you. So for all of those sectors where all of these robberies have taken place, ladies and gentlemen, F11, E11, G11, G6, Orchard Farms, and there are a lot of different places.
Right.
And the background is that these 5 gentlemen were actually in prison, but they had a sentence of 4 to 5 years. They fulfilled it, and they're out now. But I believe that everybody needs to be safe out there. So please keep an eye for each other.
All right, and Shazad, the sectors that you've mentioned, they are the crowded ones. I mean,
Exactly.
everyone goes there every other day. So just look at the magnitudes of the crime, this crime specifically happening in Islamabad.
And Shiza, what they're doing? I'm sorry. What they're doing is, so they're actually robbing one place, and right after 10 minutes, they're robbing another one. So it's a streak.
Oh my God.
And they're not, I believe that they're not really scared of the police, or probably it can be other way as well, which I do not want to state over here. But please, for everybody who's out there, make sure that Islamabad is a safe city, because all of these cameras, if they're not of any help, what's the point of having them installed?
No, absolutely. And Shazad, I'm actually going to take on, on something that you already mentioned, that make sure Islamabad is a safe place, or, beware of people who commit crimes. No. Sometimes, yes, very rightly, I mean, some people by force, brute force as well, make you do things like robbery and whatnot. But sometimes there are people in your life who intentionally or unintentionally, drench this. I mean, let's say your decision-making power. This is going to what we're talking about today.
Okay.
Your decision-making power, and they undermine what you think is good for yourself, and force you to do things that you're not willing to do. For example, in our society specifically, in a Pakistani culture,
I think I'm getting a hint of what you're trying to say.
Forced marriages, Shazad. And I mean, we really have to make it clear over here. We will definitely be speaking with our guests as well what a forced marriage constitutes of. I mean, does it only mean that maybe it's time for you to get married, maybe you're 22 or something, and your parents like, hey, this is the person you have to, is that a forced marriage? Or is it if you're underage and then you're made to get married? Is that a forced marriage? These are all the things that we're going to be talking about. And just one thing before we do move on, Shazad, I want you to, of course, share the stats with everyone out there as well of the situation in hand. But religiously speaking, and also speaking on the state level, I mean, considering Pakistan Penal Code, forced marriages are illegal and not allowed in Pakistan or your religion, Islam.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that. But ladies and gentlemen, it does not really look like that people are following the path of their own religion, and it's because of the fact that 1.91 million women are married underage over here in Pakistan. And other than that, globally, 700 million women are actually facing some relative issues as well. So imagine living a life without your consent with somebody whom you didn't really choose or like even. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the Britishers have actually taken a step ahead as well, and they're protecting their citizens no matter wherever they are in the world. So they've taken an initiative. They're over here in the studios with us, and they will let us know what the initiative is all about and how they think that stopping or forced marriages is actually going to help their citizens in any way. But then at the same time, the first things first, we really need to have a debate on what is a forced marriage, whether underage marriages are considered forced marriages as well or not, and how can we protect the rights of any citizen over here in Pakistan by learning from the step which has been taken by the Britishers in the first place as well. So ladies and gentlemen, on my right hand side, we're very lucky that we have been joined by a British consul over here who's actually based in Pakistan, looking after the British citizens. She's none other than Miss Anne Cohen. Hi, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. It's very good to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time visiting Pakistan, I believe. But she's already tasted Pakistani cuisine. I don't know how. But obviously in England. But other than that, she's actually working for the same cause as well. She's based in London. And she's over here to kind of look for the cases or probably, you know, what's happening over here within Pakistan and in the rest of the world with the British citizens in terms of forced marriages and underage marriages as well. The name's a little difficult, but I'm going to try to do justice with it. It's Neve Connolly,
yes.
And she's the Forced Marriage Unit Head. Hi, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Perfectly pronounced.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, I think I'm going to start with you. So what does your job actually makes you do as a Forced Marriage Unit Head? I mean, what does it say?
Yeah, so we are a team of 6 people.
Okay.
So I'm the head of the unit. We're a joint unit with the Home Office and Foreign Office.
Okay.
And that's because when the unit started 10 years ago, we realised that it was not only people in the UK being affected by forced marriage, but also British nationals being taken overseas. So 90% of all of our cases that we deal with have an overseas element where the marriage is being planned to take place overseas. So we work with colleagues just like Anne in-country teams where when a victim's taken abroad, we then liaise with our teams and we try and offer the best assistance we can. So we talk directly to victims and people at risk to basically explore their options, so what they want us to do. In some cases, that might be nothing. And we don't do anything in those cases. So we listen to the victim, we find out more information, we kind of give them the best advice that we can, fill our kind of gap in our understanding, and then kind of move forward and offer them options.
That's amazing, that's amazing. We will definitely dig in deeper into that. But let's start with what forced marriages are.
So a forced marriage is when someone gets married without their consent. So arranged marriage is totally fine and good, but a forced marriage is when one of the partners doesn't want to get married and they do not consent to it and they're forced into it.
All right. And you know what, since we are talking about forced marriages, thank you so much for mentioning arranged marriages, because when you're talking about Pakistan, I mean, for Britishers who are not Pakistani, I mean, arranged marriage is probably a newer concept. But in Pakistan, this is a part of the culture, Shahzad. Sometimes parents do suggest other people for you to look into for marriages, because openly dating is not a concept in Pakistan, so you do listen to recommendations from your family members and whatnot. But then again, you should have a yes or no in that. Just today morning, I was, reading an article about forced marriages and the stats it had about Pakistan. And it was a very funny yet a realizable line. It said that marriages are a social/civil contracts. And when you are signing a contract, shouldn't both parties be on the same page? I mean, that is actually the true explanation of a forced marriage, isn't it? Right?
Exactly. But which is why, there's just one question which popped up in my head, and that is that usually, since you're even visiting Pakistan, so how do we relate with cases where people have dual nationalities? So they're Pakistani national and then they're British national as well. But if they obviously complain, then it definitely gives you the right to jump in. But if nobody's complaining, so what's the process then?
So when it comes to forced marriages, if someone is both British and Pakistani, then we can offer them assistance.
Okay.
So
in relation to what we do, So it depends again on the age of the victim. So if they're a child, if they're a minor, well then we would get safeguarding professionals involved, because they technically don't have the capacity legally to consent to marriage. So that kind of ties into what Anne said earlier about consent and the ability to choose who you're going to marry. But it also comes into tact with your capacity to consent. So a minor doesn't legally have the capacity, just like somebody with, for example, a learning disability where they didn't understand the kind of act of marriage or what a relationship entails, then they wouldn't necessarily have the capacity to consent to the marriage because they don't understand the concept of what it would mean.
All right. So Maeve and Anne, you know, when you are taking care of such an initiative or such a concept, you really have to feel deeply about it as well. I mean, when you're listening to the stories of these people, this is not something out of a book or out of a movie. It's happening to real life people. And then you said even sometimes people do not give you the permission to intervene, and they said they're okay with it because they're parents and whatnot. What do you do in that case?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's something that my caseworkers deal with on a daily basis. So we have a public hotline, so anybody can call from 9 to 5. We also have a public email address, which we can show you guys.
Can you please share it
Yes,
right now?
please go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So our email address is fmu@gov.uk.
Okay, fmu.gov.uk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can also Google online forced marriage UK, and it's one of the first links that come up to our gov.uk pages.
All right, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'm definitely going to be talking about the very same issue, but since, on a lighter note, since this is your first time in Pakistan, we did discuss some things in the room as well. Have you had biryani? This is the question we ask each and every single person who comes from abroad. Have you had biryani
Yes,
yet?
I have. I'm from the West Midlands, so we have a lot of Pakistani restaurants. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to try biryani, but I want to try it in country to say that I've actually had it in
You've actually
Pakistan.
had the Pakistani biryani.
Exactly.
So the only thing you've eaten from Pakistani cuisine is biryani, or is there something else as well?
And have you liked it?
Yes, I love it. Yeah, but I want to try and diversify my experience of eating Pakistani food. So I'm very excited to be here.
I believe that's great. But moving on with that, ladies and gentlemen, since we are talking about forced marriages and underage marriages as well, and I believe, I think that it's going to be a message for everybody who's out there as well, that it is very important to actually ask for the consent from the kids as well. But what do we do in cases where people have literally pressurized their daughters or sons to get married or to get into a relationship, and the cases are actually not registered with FMU, for instance? So then, how do we actually look after such a person who's actually calling you for help? So how do we get the case registered then? Because they themselves are not taking an initiative of reporting by themselves, and they want somebody else to actually do it for them. Do we have any suggestions in that sort?
So we're always very clear that we want the victim's permission before we offer assistance if they are over the age of 18. So if they do not want help, we will not go in, even if we personally think it's in their best interests. They are the decision maker. But there are a variety of different ways that we can help someone if they come to us for assistance.
Can you
so
please share some?
Yeah, so we can get the local authorities involved. And we have an excellent relationship with the police, because obviously forced marriage is against the law in Pakistan. And so the police are always very helpful in providing assistance. If the victim doesn't want the police involved, if they can get themselves to us, then we can provide assistance in person, or we can perhaps meet them somewhere else outside of their home. And there's also legal avenues they can take back in the UK to put pressure on their family not to force them into a marriage.
Okay, well that's great. And just adding on to that, I'm very sorry, Shiza. And so what I wanted to ask further was, because it was a multi-tier question, was that, you know, I've seen it myself even back in England, that, you know, if there are women who actually complain about the assault and whatnot, so they're actually given a shelter home, you know, they're actually being supported by the government as well. So what do you do with cases over here in Pakistan? Because if the victim is actually letting you know to help, obviously the people back at their homes will not allow them to live with them. So what kind of support will you manage for them over here in Pakistan?
Yeah, so we have a good relationship with a number of different shelter homes that can house victims for a period of time. And also if the victim wants to return to the UK, we can find ways for them to do that. And on arrival in the UK, there's a lot of support that can be offered by local authorities as well as NGOs.
All right, so here's the thing. This is probably going to take a dark turn, but this is the harsh truth of the society, yes. So in Pakistani families, generally speaking, again, if someone does, you know, reach out to you for help in case of forced marriages and whatnot, And if it's off the table and the parents are like, oh, all right, we're not going to do it, whatnot, even then they're not safe at their homes because, of course, you don't know what's going to happen to them afterwards. A massive amount of Pakistani women living in the rural areas, even some in the urban areas, are exposed to the threat of honor killing. Are you guys in contact with women after you've helped them get rid of the forced marriages or not?
Yes, we are. So we essentially fill that gap of trying to get the victim to safety, but we work with a number of NGOs within the UK to provide them with emotional support, employment support, housing, kind of psychological support as well, depending on what they want.
Okay.
And so that kind of then fills that longer term care support, and the same with adult social care if they're involved in the case as well.
Okay.
So then they would provide that further safeguarding kind of plan in place for the person at risk.
All right, so definitely safety is taken care of because it does matter, I mean, on a very large scale, not only in Pakistan, but all across the globe as well. Just one similar question. So there's another concept in Pakistan. I don't know if it's called hoax marriages or what, when you get married to your cousin just to get the citizenship of thingy. So do you get what I'm saying? So if a family member is living abroad, so you'll just have to get married to them to get the citizenship, to get the family going, whatnot. More usual than often, the bride / the groom, they're not ready to do it because, of course, they have someone else in mind or whatnot. Is there a chance we can contact you after we've been pushed into the marriage?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we call those specific cases reluctant sponsor cases. So again, I advise you to get in touch with us and we can help you work through different options if you are in that position.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's amazing.
And I believe, Shiza, that you were asking some great questions over here as well. Wow, you've done your research. But very quickly, just to get the facts straight as well, since you're obviously helping the only British citizens over here within Pakistan, and obviously they are... now, as a matter of fact, what I wanted to ask was that, within the British law, I believe that the rightful age to get married is 18.
So it's 16 with parental consent.
It's 16 with parental consent.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about that. Now, when we talk about forced marriages, I believe that it's the parental consent which is actually making it a forced marriage anyways. So how do we differentiate? Because, parents come, they say, you have to get married at the age of 16, and the consent is obviously there. Now, even if the daughter or the son is not agreeing, they will still get married because of the fact that it's parents. And if the law says that with parents' consent you can do it, how do you think that we're going to bring it under the umbrella of forced marriage?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think for us, we're kind of working within the remits of our legislation.
Yep.
So there are wider conversations in government about the age of marriage. But for us, in terms of providing consular assistance to British nationals, we try and encourage victims and people at risk to call us. So even if they have, a slight inkling that something's not quite right, that this holiday's been planned, they're maybe being taken overseas, their parents talking about marriage and they're not quite sure about it, they don't know what to say to their parents, they feel they can't say no, we always encourage people to talk to us, and then we can kind of talk to them, provide them with specialist advice and empower them to make kind of decisions that are right for them, and work through a range of options that are suitable for their situation.
All right, that's amazing. So ladies, it's been 10 years you've mentioned since you've been running this unit?
Yeah, so the forced marriage unit started in about 2005, so just over 10 years.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So do you guys plan on expanding it beyond a British citizenship? Because I mean,
how do you think that
millions
will work?
of women, I don't know, I mean, it's going to be a huge, I don't want to say market, but huge market first of all, but because millions of women, not only in Pakistan, I mean, in Asia, yes, I mean, in Nepal, in places like Bangladesh, whatnot, even in India, they're forced into marriages, and more usual than often, no one finds out about it, and they're forced to live a life that they've never wanted.
Yeah.
So is there a plan, even if it's not, it's all right, I mean, because you're already doing amazing.
So primarily our job is to help British nationals.
Okay.
But because it's forced marriage is a community issue, we do a lot of work with communities and religious groups to raise the level of debate on forced marriage and to educate people about it. So we hope that some of the work that we do provides assistance to communities to stop forced marriage happening at all.
Well, that's great. And I believe that, I think that a lot of marketing campaigns need to be done on this as well, because over in Pakistan, not a lot of people actually know that these are the kind of services which are available, even for British citizens who actually are residing within Pakistan. So are you planning on doing such awareness campaigns, or do you think that, it's just us fulfilling our responsibility?
So we do awareness campaigns here, but I think probably primarily it's more important to do it in the UK because a lot of the victims live in the UK and are brought over to be forced into marriage.
Yeah, so we do have awareness campaigns, particularly in airports, where we see a lot of people coming and going. But yeah, we also run awareness campaigns in the UK, just to kind of raise awareness of the fact that it's illegal, and also it's quite a hidden subject topic. So we want to kind of encourage dialogue more and more, and show people that this is a worldwide issue. This is not a specific Pakistan issue.
Absolutely.
It happens all over the world, and since the unit began, we've dealt with cases in 110 countries, which just goes to show that every country should be caring about this issue.
Okay, well, that's great. But very quickly, on a very lighter note, I've got 2 questions to ask before we wrap up this segment. And the first question is going to be that for all of those people who are out there, now, whenever we speak about forced marriages or underage marriages, what, in your perspective, is the right age to get married?
That's a great question.
Also a tricky one.
I think it depends on the individual and how mature they are and what their life goals are. I don't think there's one answer.
So,
No, but I
so
agree
what
with
you're
that.
trying to say over here is that even if you're 15 and you know what your goals are, you can still get married.
No, I'm not saying that.
What about you? What's your take on this one?
I mean, I completely agree. It's down to the individual. I think that it's really important to be legally of age. So when you're an adult, then you know you're more informed. You're able to make those decisions, and more importantly, it's about your own choice.
Exactly. So, so the last question, which I'm going to ask over here, once again, a very lighter note. So, for example, if one individual got married at the age of 15 and they realized at the age of 20 that I haven't married the right guy or the right person, do you think they still have a chance to probably come and contact you because of the fact that they married with consent at the age of 15, but at the age of 20 they realized that this is not the man I wanted to live with?
I
You
feel
think
like
that there are
are
any
so many
chances
other
for
things
that?
that can get involved in this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know whether that's a light-hearted question, first of all.
Yeah.
But I mean, as in the UK, you know, 15, you're a child, so it would still be a forced marriage.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's good. What about you?
Yeah, I have the same opinion.
She completely disagrees.
Well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much for enlightening
Thank you
us
very
on
much.
Thank you
such
so
an
much
amazing
for having
venture.
us.
And more power to you guys.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for helping all of those, because they're still Pakistani, and for all of those Britishers who are out there, keep on doing that. It's great work.
Thanks very much.
Good luck
Thank you so
with all of your
much.
future endeavors. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this note, we are heading out to a very short
No,
break.
we're now heading out to a short break. We're actually going to share a trailer with you guys because Maleficent 2 is coming out, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye out for that. And after the trailer, we're going to go for a short break. Once you guys will come back, we'll actually be in conversation with a psychologist, whether how does underage marriages or forced marriages have an impact on you as a person. Let's do that. Good morning.
Stay tuned.
Years ago, I thought I lost you forever. There is no curse that could ever tear me away from you. Will you marry me?
Yes.
Mistress, I have a little bit of news.
Don't ruin my morning.
Philip asked me to marry him.
No,
I wasn't really asking.
nor was I. Love doesn't always end well, Beastie.
Trust me. Let us prove you wrong.
You have done an admirable job going against your own nature to raise this child. But now, she will finally get the love of a real mother. Tonight, I consider Aurora my own.
There is no union. There will be no wedding.
What have you done?
We go home now. Aurora!
Maleficent is a threat to everyone. We'll do our best to protect you.
Well, well.
One can never be too careful.
This isn't you.
You do not know me.
Magla Hills, the heaven of Islamabad, the abode of God, a place where you can explore your soul and meet power of natural elegance of mountains. Spread over an area of 12,605 hectares, the Magla Range, the foothills of Himalayas, are youngest hills with an age of 5,000 years old. Magla Hills are home to around 600 plant species, 250 bird varieties, 38 mammals, and 13 species of reptiles. Magla Range is characterized by many valleys, scenic spots, and beautiful water streams, especially in the monsoon months. Famous for their tranquil environment and lush green natural splendor, Magla Hills are a particular source of pride, harmony, and spiritual solace. For the residents of Islamabad, many of whom make it a weekly ritual to scale the various trails to Damaneko and Peace Suhala. Magla Hills send off its visitors with lasting trail of memories to relish in solitude and provide an escape from the relentless rhythm of life.
Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, with Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi, where today we are discussing something so important, yet so, I mean, let's say, sad as well.
Not talked about, yeah.
Yeah, not talked about, frowned upon, sad as well, a part of our society that I don't think we can get rid of.
Exactly.
Okay, so first of all, to begin with, we are a collectivistic culture, right? So as compared to the West, where it is individualistic culture, in the first segment when we were talking about, you know, how there's a difference in trend of forced marriages and arranged marriages in Pakistan as compared to the West, we have to, one person, whoever is getting married, a girl or a boy, they don't have to just listen to their own will or their own, you know, choice. They have to actually make hundreds of thousands of people happy. Okay, not thousands, if 100, of course, your immediate relatives, including your blood family members, and then your first cousin's first family members, then second, then third, then fourth. So basically, this is not, when you're talking about a marriage in Pakistan, it's not just a girl and a boy, a couple getting married. it is so many other things as well, and not always positive things.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that. And ladies and gentlemen, adding on to that, I just want to say that imagine for all of those people who actually have gone through this situation, first of all, I definitely feel sorry for you. But then imagine that, for all your life, you have actually not woken up next to the guy or to the lady whom you actually wanted to be with. So I believe that it's quite a lot of psychological trauma. But other than that, there's just one more simple thing which I'm going to say, and I don't know whether a lot of people are going to agree to it or not. But what I'm going to say is that it's not always the right thing. I mean, kids actually arguing with their parents, and it's not that you can actually undermine the intelligence of your parents as well in these cases. At times, parents are even correct when they are actually guiding their children not to do so or to do so as well. So you really have to be vigilant. I mean, a kid who's actually 15 or 16 years of age cannot really tell, the kind of person he or she is actually seeing. But I believe that parents do have an expertise on that, and it's because of the fact that they've been dealing with public for a longer period of time that you kids have been.
Right.
So at times it's even okay to listen to your parents.
Shazad, I do agree with you completely, but that implies in the case of, when you rightly mentioned if a person is 16 or below age. So I feel like parents do have a say. They do have the expertise to tell you maybe this is right or wrong, but they do not have the right.
Exactly.
And this is what we're exploring. And I'm so happy that this person over here that we have in the studio with us actually feels deeply about this cause as well.
Yeah.
And she has a lot to say about this.
Exactly,
Ladies
and she's a
gentlemen,
clinical psychologist, ladies and gentlemen. She's none other than Ms. Noshawa Anjum. Hello, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much, Shazad and Shiza, for inviting me with a wonderful topic. Yet, like very, it's very. Whenever I used to talk about, especially for women and their rights, and as you were saying that we are living in a society which has a collective approach.
Right.
And yes, it's very unfortunate that after getting rid for the subcontinent was under British rule for 100 years, but still we are in a debate of the same that either we are a liberal society or we are like a very conservative society. It's not about the liberty or conservation. It is about, I think, that basic human rights. Girls are not even considered as an independent or individual identity, in Pakistan.
Absolutely. And okay, so since you're a psychologist, there is a lot that I need to talk about.
Yeah, very quickly.
Why though? Okay,
We've
anyway,
only
moving
left with
on.
10
So
minutes.
we're talking about, specifically forced marriages over here, but there
yeah.
are so many other things that come into account as well.
Yeah.
But to begin with, when you're looking at a girl or a boy who's not willing to get into a relationship and then they have to live for 50 years with their spouse that they didn't want to be with, let's talk about the psychological impacts in terms of bringing up the next generation. How will they be sane enough to bring up their kids?
Yeah, marriage is a contract. Although you were saying that it's a civil contract. Without the free will of a girl or a boy, it's like a void, or you can revocable in law. Even Islam is the most modern religion.
It's so convenient,
and it has given so much rights for a girl. And the girls usually are fantasizing this relationship, getting married and having the kids and later on. But when forceful marriage, it gives a trauma, it gives a fear, it gives a guilt. Give anxiety to a girl, and where there is more anxiety, and more depression, and the anxiety and depression are the reason where the culture is more compliance, where there is more suppression, where girls has to obey or follow like their family member, their group. So it's very unfortunate that more girls are if you sit in the hospital environment, you will see that out of 200, 199 are girls and only one boy, and they are given the ECT, the electric shocks, and they're sent back to the same, the environment.
Because of the panic attacks.
But my concern is not like that. It's about the dilemma is that the fearful mothers, they will produce a fearful child,
So, right.
And we are producing girls are the factories, who are producing more children and giving the leaders to the society. And how come a fearful woman or a mother will produce a fearful child, and there is, you know, it's a dilemma of the society. I believe.
No,
that.
Shaba, you're so right, and I think I will have to agree over here when you're saying a fearful mother is going to produce a fearful child. But then again, we're looking at the sad reality because it's a cycle that's going on. I mean, obviously, hypothetically speaking, if you as a mother were forced into a marriage, you are definitely going to be so open and okay with the idea of it that you will force it onto your child as well. Which brings me to my next question, again, being a collectivistic society. Girls and sometimes even boys, they feel like they need to obey their parents in terms of, you know, settling with a person that they don't want to. And parents, being parents, they exploit the situation even more.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we strike a balance between that?
You know, the thing is that the bad thing, which is very unfortunate, that the society has given the acceptance. You know, we are. I think it's I cannot say that, but I think that we are living in an immoral society. Then
I agree.
and people
More or
are
less.
getting acceptance. You know, if the girls they are. The girls have to surrender for their inherited property, you know, and they have even not having the basic right of education, you know, their health facilities. So this is very unfortunate. If a mother, especially the parents, women are considered, girls are considered as a source of honor, you know, that
Oh my
yes,
God,
you
you're
are a source of
right.
honor, and they are manipulated either way that they have to obey, and they have to obey that, okay, well, right, wherever you say I will get
Right.
married, you know.
For the fear of one's own life. I mean, just look at the society over here. I do realize, and I know that right now we're probably hitting wrong strings on so many people over here. But when you're talking about honor, first of all, I think a lot of people have died saying that women and honor does not lie in a woman. I mean, of course.
There are sorry to interrupt. There are 2-3 more like I said
Aspects to
the
it.
rituals.
Okay.
Like Vani.
Oh,
Vani,
yeah.
the girls are Vani, especially in our
And it's a
tribal
tradition.
areas.
Yeah.
And then the exchange marriages, you know.
Exactly.
The
Oh,
exchange,
yes.
And it's not just the exchange marriages, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, it came up to my knowledge that you know, people who've actually taken loan money from other superior families, what they do is that if they cannot pay back, they get their daughters married to their sons or to them as well.
That's so
It is
unfortunate.
very sad, but right at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to share the picture for today, picture of the
Yes.
day. Please go ahead, and Mr. Shaba, whatever comes to your head when you see that picture, you actually have to let us know. Whatever, you know, as quickly as possible. So please, can we have the picture of the day on our TV
gonna be
screens?
easy.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So what do you have to say about this?
I don't know, honeymooners.
Everything about the show today is about marriages, ladies and gentlemen. So Mr. Shaba, what do you have to say?
Oh, well, a couple in love, I guess.
They're so playful and cute.
I think Shiza's actually best defined the picture itself. But I believe that I'm going to take a different way. And ladies and gentlemen, well, if you get married with your own choice, that's the kind of life you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, happiness
Yeah.
every other day. I mean,
You're going to take
imagine
the
that.
pictures for each other. You're going to be in sync. You're going to be in love with everything you guys do together.
Yes,
And
we
that's
are
the life
living in
everybody
such a
needs to spend.
suppressed, it's such a suppressed and you know, depressed society. You
Yeah.
know. The only thing which a woman should have a right is to live her life with the man of her choice. I
And
think,
you know, not only women, even men as well.
Yeah.
I will have to say over here, because we're looking at humans, we're looking at a lifetime of what, 50 years or even
Shiza, we are
more.
living in a male-dominating society.
I
Sorry
will
to
not
say, sorry to
disagree,
say,
but
but
again,
men
Mushaba,
has
I have-
different options with them. Woman
Yeah.
does not have any option
She
other than
chooses
the
not to
only
utilize those
man of
options.
her dream.
And
you
I
know.
choose to stay quiet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to put
No,
my
but
leg
here's the
into
thing.
it.
All
Yes,
right.
I choose to stay quiet.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Yeah,
here's
it's
the
not.
thing.
I'm not getting you guys into any gender differentiation, but this is the dilemma of the society which we need to address, which is needed to be addressed. And yes, like especially you know the girls when they come to me and they said they do not even because of the lack of communication between the parents. Parents does not allow even their daughter. They assume that they need. This boy, you know, the cousin
Exactly.
marriages and the exchange marriages, and even if they need to resolve any dispute,
Right.
they will offer their girls to the other party that okay, this is the reason. This is the the solution of to just resolve that dispute. So it's very unfortunate,
Yes,
and I think
absolutely.
that this is the biggest dilemma and a very big question mark on our so-called liberal society.
But again, so-called, yes, very rightly said, it's not even liberal 1.1%. But okay, so let's just imagine if someone did get into a forced marriage, unfortunately. So Nushaba, I think you're going to agree with me. Most of the times, you know, a few years down the lane, the man in the marriage will probably resort to other options because, again, he was not even willing to marry the girl in the first place. Now, now eventually, generally speaking, guys,
resorting
it
to
happens.
other options and then labeling it onto men. That's not
Listen,
correct.
can I complete my sentence? Okay, so the women, because she has so many roles onto her, you know, being a mother, being inside the house, not doing anything outside of the house, she will resort to depression pills and whatnot, and she will go through a phase of depression for 10 years, for which, again, the children will
compromise.
suffer.
You know, man has an option for 4 wives in Islam. They said, okay, Islam has given us the right for 4 wives, you know, and women know that she has only have to live with one man, and then she has to raise the children. The physical trauma is one side, but the psychological trauma when a woman give a birth to a child, and especially with the man who is not, you know,
she didn't want to.
The man of her dream.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for saying that. Thank you very much for being with us, and you definitely highlighted the main, whatever we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I think that there needs to be a resolve about all of these issues as well. But very quickly, before we wrap up, this one last message which I'm going to give. There are a lot of times I do get to hear this, that, you know, a girl is actually a mother, you know, a daughter, you know, a dadi and a grandparent and whatnot. So I think that the same goes for the men too as well, because they're fathers, they're grandfathers, and then they're doing whatever they can in their capacity. There's no gender discrimination within it. But if it happens to any of one, you know, may it be the boy or the girl, it's not rightful and it's not lawful.
I agree with you. Nushaba agrees with you 100%. But all we were saying, but this is a male-dominated patriarchal society. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything you need to write to us, write on our Facebook page with the name of
Well This Morning.
On Twitter.
Well This Morning with RDG.
YouTube.
Well This Morning.
And the repeat you can catch
5 past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next day, 1, 2, 3. Good morning. And say no to forced marriages.
Oh, yes.
Bye.